Any problem so far? For FCFF model, we first calculate FCFF. We have discussed already how we calculate FCFF. Then what do? We discuss that once you have FCFF, you forecast future FCFFs. Once you have future FCFFs, you can forecast it for, let's say, 5 year, 10 year or whatever. So let's say you decide to forecast it for 5 year. Once you have forecasted the future cash flows for 5 years, then next step, so you will list down future cash flows for 5 years. Then next step would be that you calculate terminal value at the end of 5th year. Terminal value will be calculated using the same formula that we discussed here. Once you have the terminal value, then you will sum them up. So you will sum both of these rows. This will give you a series of or sum of cash flows. Once you have this sum, then you will apply present value formula to calculate present values of all these cash flows. Once you have present values, you will sum them up and calculate the value, right? How we do it in financial model, obviously when you make it, then you will be able to do it. So once you have this value, what is this value? These cash flows were free cash flow to firm, which means this value is firm value, right? So this value is not equity value, this value is firm value. And how do you discount them back? You discount them back using back. So this value is your firm value. What is firm? Firm has equity and debt both. You as an investor want to find out only equity value. So how do you get equity value? So from firm value, you will make adjustment for net debt. What is net debt? You will subtract that and add cash. This is known as net debt. That will bring you to equity value, and then you divide equity value by number of shares. This will give you the value per share. So this is how this model will be structured, that in your financial model you will have past data, you will have future forecast based on expectations, you will have discount rate based on expectation, you will forecast FCFF. Based on FCFF forecast, you will calculate present and discount rate, you will calculate present value. Based on present value, you calculate firm value. You will make adjustment for that and arrive at equity value. This is how whole model is structured or will be working. So which means final answer that you want to find out is value per share. For that you need to calculate value. For equity value you need to have firm value, because you will make adjustments of that to firm value, then you will arrive at equity value. For firm value you need to have a discount rate at which you can discount future cash flows to present. Or in a better way I would say that you need to have, for firm value you need to have present value of FCFFs. For present value of FCFFs you need future FCFFs and you need discount rate. For future FCFFs you need future cash flow forecast. For future cash flow forecast you need income statement and balance sheet forecast. For income statement and balance sheet forecast you need assumptions, and you combine these assumptions with past data. So this is how whole model will be structured. You have to arrive at value per share, but to arrive at value per share you will start with past data, assumptions. Based on that you will forecast income statement, then you will forecast balance sheet, then based on these two you will forecast cash flow statement. Based on cash flow statement forecast you will forecast FCFF. Based on FCFF forecast you will then you will separately calculate back. Based on that you will calculate present value of FCFF, then firm value, then equity value, and then value. This is how model will work or model will be structured. Any confusion in this? So it is more important to know the science behind the model or how is it structured than actually making the Excel sheets, because Excel sheet can be made by anyone, but an analyst would be making the structure. So main job of structuring a model for an analyst is to know the structure or to know what we are trying to achieve. This is our aim, and for this achieving this aim, what sheets do we need to have in our model, and how will the model be linked and structured, and what will be the steps of making the model. Otherwise, you cannot ever arrive at this until and unless you know the structure, or until and unless you know how do we calculate this value. Any questions so far? This is for FCFF. If let's say I am using FCFE, then again assumptions, past data, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, forecast, future FCFF forecast, present value of forecast. Only difference would be, instead of using WACC, I will be using required rate of return on equity or cost of equity. Instead of using FCFF forecast, I will be using FCFE forecast. Then again, present value of FCFEs. Present value of FCFE itself is the equity value. So you do not need to make adjustment of any that. Then you divide it by share, and number of shares, you get value per share. That is how free cash flow to equity model would be made of the structure. Any confusion so far?